Hey there, what is up? It is Alicia Carlson here from aliciacarlson.com, and I want to talk to you today about this concept about it not actually being about the food at all. So for most of us, when we get ready to make some different lifestyle choices, or maybe, we're kind of thinking about getting healthier, we want to make some changes in the way we're eating or moving or all of these things, we often feel like we have to completely and radically overhaul our diets, our food, what we're eating, the ways that we're moving our body, all of the things. And usually what I find with my clients, and probably what you've experienced too, if this has been you, is that it feels really overwhelming. It's super complicated because there's always new information coming out about what the healthiest diet is, or the best way to work out in order to lose weight or burn fat, or all of the different tricks and hacks out there. So we get overwhelmed, we get stressed out, we feel like it's taking way too much time, and we quit, right? Because it's really hard to make changes, and it's really hard to change everything at once. So I want to offer this up to you instead. This is a simple, straightforward way to go about thinking about your health, your wellness, changing up your food, all of those kinds of things, without the overwhelm, without the stress, without feeling like you've just signed up for another part-time job or something like that. And it's this idea of really looking at it as it's not actually about the food, right? It's not about what you're eating or what you're not eating, how you are or aren't moving your body, or the fact that you need to move more, eat less, all of these kinds of things. For most of us, a lot of our behaviors around food actually have zero to do with the food itself. For example, one of the ladies in the Mindful Eating Project felt like she was always kind of snacking and grabbing the food that was in her office, all of those office treats. If you work in an office space, you know what I'm talking about. The temptation is there, right? She felt like she wasn't making very good choices around her nutrition, eating more sugar, all of these kinds of things. And one of the first exercises that we did in the Mindful Eating Project was to actually kind of create this vision for yourself, create the life that you wanted to be living, how you wanted to be showing up. And what she found is that little change needed to happen around the food itself and more about where and how she was spending her time. She realized she wasn't really scheduling downtime for herself. She wasn't scheduling free time. All of her time felt like it was going towards other things that might have been good, like going to her workout class or something like that, but it still didn't feel like her free time. Like there was still some obligation attached there. So the simple fix that she made was not focusing on eating less sugar, not focusing on, cutting out carbs or all of this stuff, but rather she started looking at how she was spending her time. And was there a place that she could allocate a little bit of downtime or time to be creative or time to connect with friends? And in doing so, she was able to turn some of those nutrition habits and behaviors around. Another lady I was just talking to, she has recently given up a habit that she didn't really like, that she felt like wasn't serving her, but she started replacing that habit of drinking with a habit of sugar. And the natural, or the kind of the normal way I think that we want to work at this is by focusing on fixing the issue with sugar, right? Like just eat less, or instead of eating sugar, eat veggies, or whatever it is. But instead, I want to offer that we don't focus on fixing the sugar habit. We focus on kind of what happens leading up to the sugar habit. And what she found was that when she was likely eating the sugar, going after those sugary sweets and treats, was usually the time that she would be having a glass of wine or having a beer. So instead of focusing on changing the habit, specifically targeting sugar or getting away from eating sugar, we want to look at what is happening kind of around that, and what can you change that feels a little bit less intimidating, feels a little bit less challenging, and actually feels like you are doing something kind for yourself instead, right? I think, taking that perspective of beating ourselves up over eating sugar or drinking or having the carbs or whatever the thing is, doesn't actually work long term, right? We might be able to fight our way through it in the short term, but long term, it doesn't create change. So instead of focusing on white knuckling your way to cutting out the carbs or ditching the sugar habit, think about some other ways. Maybe you too need to schedule a little bit of downtime, a little bit of free time for yourself. Maybe you too need to look at what is happening around the time that I gravitate towards getting that second or third glass of wine, or going to the cupboard and getting the sweet treats out at night, or whatever time of day that is for you. Look at what is happening around that, and then decide for yourself something that you would rather be doing instead. Like if you realize that eating sugar or overindulging on certain snacks or certain treats isn't serving you, and you actually want to create that change, then look for something that brings as much joy, or brings joy instead of the guilt, right? Which, when we are not honoring ourselves, we're not honoring our goals, we're not really acting in a way that is congruent with who we want to be, that doesn't bring happiness, that doesn't bring joy. Even if in the moment eating the ice cream, eating the treats feels like it does, often it's accompanied with shame. So instead, stop focusing on trying to change the food that you're eating, and start instead looking at other ways outside of the box that you might be able to kill two birds with one stone. Relieve some stress, have more time with friends, maybe feel a little bit more connected, and then watch some of those food habits or behaviors that you're not super stoked on start to kind of diminish and change sort of all on their own. It's about taking a more simple approach instead of making it complicated and making it feel really hard and like you're just pulling teeth. Hopefully this helps you kind of think outside the box. I hope that this was insightful for you, and that it gives you a new frame of reference to start looking at changing your eating habits, changing some behaviors around food, your body, fitness, all of that kind of stuff. I'd love to hear from you. So go ahead, drop a comment, share this with somebody that you think might need this message as well. And if you want to learn more about the Mindful Eating Project, you can shoot me a direct message, or you can send me an email, alicia@aliciacarlson.com. Otherwise, have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I will talk to you again soon.